Liver transplantation is a relatively new operation. The first attempt at a liver transplant in a human was in 1963. A gentleman by the name of Thomas Starzl attempted it. And unfortunately, that first recipient, Bernie Soles was his name, he died on the operating table. He then attempted on a number of other children, and again, same outcome. And as a result of that, he was dismissed from his university. And he went away and thought he could try and solve this problem, and tried to develop the technique using dogs at home in his garage. And fortunately, he developed the technique, which is very similar to what we're doing even today. And he was successful in doing the first human transplant in 1967 in Pittsburgh. And since that time, transplantation has taken off. But we've moved from a survival back then of about 10%, 5-year survival, to almost 90% 5-year survival we're achieving today. Most of that has only been achieved in the last 30-odd years. So it's come from a treatment that wasn't even available not that long ago to something which is used quite commonly for patients which have no liver function. The problem in liver transplantation is there is no dialysis. There is no machine I can put the patient on and hold them for a period of time. So if your liver doesn't work, you need another liver. That's the only way out. In contrast to that is renal transplantation or kidney transplantation, where you can put them on a dialysis machine for a period of time and hold them. We don't have that benefit with liver transplants. So if somebody goes into liver failure, they need a liver. The two places we can get it from is either somebody who is dead, a deceased donor, or somebody who is alive. Preferentially would prefer to use a deceased donor because it doesn't place an alive person at risk to give their organ. If one was to step forward and donate to their family or friend, then they do have a risk associated with undergoing what is a major operation. Whereas if we use the deceased organ, which has equivalent outcome for that recipient, we enable a benefit from a tragedy, something for which nothing of any further benefit is going to come. We can actually pass that on to a potential recipient who, if they aren't transplanted, have no other option to them. Most people, especially in New Zealand, are only confronted with the question about death when it actually happens. You know, maybe it's our British heritage, I don't know, but you don't talk about the ugly things. You don't talk about the war. You know, just, hey, I'm alive, I'm kicking, so carry on doing that. And for a lot of people, the issue of donation, the issue of after I die, what will happen with me, is only brought up once they've actually reached that point in their life. And for many of the donors, they die suddenly. They don't die after being told a diagnosis and they've got a week or a month to sort their things out at home. It's a sudden death and they can't communicate or contribute to the conversation about what would they want. And so people around them become very protected. You would become protected. You think, oh, well, they can't speak. I'm not sure really what they want. And so the natural response is, if you don't know, is, I'm sorry, no, I'd rather not put them through this because I'm not sure whether they would want to be a donor or not. And I guess if the conversation has been had in the past, then you'd probably find more often than not that people would say, yeah, sure, I'd be open to being a donor. I'd be open to my organs being consented to be transplanted into other people. But I think it's human nature. The natural instinct is to protect that person who is in a very vulnerable position at that point. There is a belief out there that Māori are less likely to donate because of cultural reasons. But actually, if you look at our rates of donation in New Zealand, they proportionally donate at the same rate as the European population. And interestingly, if you look at live donation, which is somebody wanting to step forward and be the donor, so they're actually speaking for themselves at that stage, whereas in a deceased situation they can't speak for themselves, they are more forthcoming than they are the European counterparts. They're more often they'll step forward, and more of them will step forward to try and be the donor and put themselves through assessment, which tells you that, hey, maybe if they could speak for themselves at the time when they're deceased, they may actually donate more commonly than we are led to believe.